this mine? Oh, there we go. All right, we're live. We're live.
What's that?
Still kind of hear an echo. Or maybe that's just because my thing's loud.
I think mine's on mute.
Yeah, yours on mute. All right, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Okay. Coach Tyler coming in.
Sick.
Heather, you look like you have like a little mohawk. Like a little shark fin. Shark fin.
Changing it up today.
Yeah, dude, man. I gotta figure out my mic so I can be cool like you.
Where's Coach Tyler?
He's right here. Oh my. Woo. Muted him. That was loud. He's figuring it out. He's in his house again. Here he is. Cuckoo clock. Look at his cuckoo clock. Oh, dude. We got to set you up. We got to send you a mic and, I don't know, a banner for a background or something cool. You know? Hang it over the blinds.
Yeah, that'd be
I muted him, though. I muted
It'll make it really dark, though.
Yeah, he can talk now. That'd be all right.
He doesn't want to talk to you.
I know. Lazy boy. You're unmuted. The world can hear you.
Finally.
I know. It's good. We got one viewer. Who is it? I bet I know. I muted you again, Tyler, just so you know. All right. Well, semifinals for age groups is upon us. We won't talk about that. There's nothing really to talk about. 4 workouts. You guys know it. If you're one of our semifinal athletes, then, oh, yeah, let's go. Cody, do you know? It is Cody. Our one watcher is Cody.
Oh,
now we got 2 watchers. It only says 1 on our watching list. And we got, do you see?
CJ is a secret spy.
Sienna.
Oh, Sienna. Is
Not
CJ.
CJ.
Is a secret spy.
I mean, it is CJ, but anyhow. Yep. Basically, quarterfinals part 2 for the age groups. Exciting. Have fun with that. Do we want to talk about the team workouts or individual workouts for the semifinals? I mean, we have a team competing.
Sure, why not?
I mean, there's not much to say. A lot of endurance. It's going over it with Harley a little bit. There's a lot of endurance here in these workouts. We don't know the structure. The one that stands out, and Heather and I were talking about this, is that they got the 5 rounds of 800-meter run and 15 thrusters, and like they could have only 2 runners, and then you're only running like a 400 each, or split it up however. I can't get Harley in the thing. There we go.
I feel like that's probably what the case. Like, I can't imagine they're gonna have. I mean,
dude, it would be
cool
lit
to have 4 runners.
If
but
they had 40, 40 runners out there, just people going ham.
Yeah, I mean that'd be sick, but I don't know if they're.
All right, hot take. Hot take. Not an air runner.
Dude, it would be
not an air runner, but not outside.
Yeah, like inside, like a circle.
That's what CJ said, but
yeah, they could.
Woodway and Rogue came out with a new runner, not an assault runner. Like that was more what my point was.
But what's the inside? I thought they just have the Coliseum and the soccer stadium. Is there an inside part? I don't remember.
They have not received. Well, this is so. Gotta think about like not just that Carson. Like if you limit your mindset to that, you're gonna have a problem because they're gonna do venues all over the world.
Sure.
But yeah, Carson. The teams. Paige sent me the email this morning. And I was looking at it for like all the check and everything. And they didn't send them an athlete like map yet. They showed like the check-in and where to park, but they didn't show if it's like just the Coliseum or if like they're going to use the field or anything else. So, but again, you have to think about all the other events. And they could do
well, I mean, that makes
physical
sense.
run.
I just don't. I mean, I guess I
no. So what I was trying to say was that Rogue came out with a new product they announced last year, which is Rogue and Woodway have their own branded runner. And I'm just thinking that sometime in the near future, whenever the contract with Assault lapses with CrossFit, Rogue is going to take over just like they did with the.
I think it already is. Also,
well, then I would not be surprised if we're not running on those this year and we don't ever see an Assault CrossFit sanctioned event again.
Yeah, they also got acquired by that conglomerate that also owns like a bunch of other weird stuff. I actually think they own the Nike studios too, like the Nike training studios they have.
So they're getting burpees, dude.
I get it. Somebody in the class, somebody yesterday asked me, why I programmed so many burpees for the class. And I was like, well,
She's also pushing that sled. Look at that.
Oh, dang. I like this.
She's grinding.
Let's go, Pam. Get it.
That's good.
Anyways, yeah, the workouts, I think there's a lot of endurance, especially for the team. I think it's more endurance than it is anything else. They did throw people a bone by having the lift, but the points are going to be all, Harley. Exactly. Everyone's going to kind of land where they land. The best thing to do is go back 2 years ago. The individuals did that complex already. You could look at the median values and try to hit that number and then move on with the rest of your weekend. And like even the 20 ring muscle ups, I know it's like synchro. That workout, it's how fast you pace the clean and jerks and the burpees to hold your ring muscle ups 5 unbroken for each set.
Do you think they're going to be only rings, or think they're going to go that ring and bar combo again?
Yeah, because
the teams doesn't say ring, it just says muscle up, and then the individuals specify specifically rings.
I hope it's just rings, because we all know bar is easier. Sorry, guys. If you can do both proficiently, you can do 10 and 10. Bar is easier.
What I just anticipating, I had this conversation with JP, was that if it is mixed, then JP and I are doing rings and the girls are doing bar, because to your point, it's just easier and it's just going to be faster for us to get out of the dip than them. So,
yeah, they're good workouts though. If you haven't seen them, check them out. They're not on games.crossfit.com. You have to be on Instagram. I don't know if they're on TikTok because I'm not on that, but you go on Instagram, you can look at those workouts. Same thing with the individuals. Chances of Ben Smith getting back to the CrossFit Games, high or low? I say high.
I'm indifferent.
Come on. The workouts are good for him.
Yeah, because they're classic CrossFit. Like they're super.
Okay. Would you
OG
like to see
CrossFit. It? Would I like to see him go again? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But
sick. All right.
Do I think that he has a really high opportunity to do so? It's like I don't think he has any better opportunity than everyone else at that level.
What a politician answer.
No, I mean, I think there's so many good guys in the field.
This is true.
On both East and West that it's like who just had the better weekend.
All right, longtime watcher of the show, Marissa. Hello, Marissa. We got to do that, Harley. We only have 6 watchers. Okay, we got to give the shout outs, dude. Got to do it.
I can't.
All right. What else? Any other standouts? Jake Burman got back in. I saw that a while ago. It's official now, which I like. That's cool. The guys, I was really, I only looked at the East and the West because like the other, actually I also looked at Oceania because my boy Matt Galpin, I want to see if he made it. He's not going to take the trip, but the East and the West, the guys, it's going to be fun to watch. What's up, Pam?
We have a live watcher in person here.
Yeah, live watcher, Pam. Let's go.
What's up?
She says she's gonna go back and watch it later.
Is she gonna kill Taylor self later?
What? Yeah, she's gonna take it on for sure.
Hey, she's doing burpees. We could do the row, the burpees, and then we could scale the bar muscle ups to like supports, jumping supports. See if she can beat his time.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think she can, but that's okay. First off, let's just talk about Jake. You brought up Jake. I think
please, Pam. Versus Taylor. Let's go.
I think Jake's capacity has been like underrated for a long time. He just hasn't had a great shakeout. I like Jake a lot. I think his capacity, his time in the game, like if anyone deserves it, like if you want to say they deserve it, right? Like he's been a bubble games athlete for like 4 years straight. He missed the games by 1 spot twice 2 years ago in the last chance qualifier, and I think it was a Syndicate or MAC or one of those. And he's just really fucking good. These tests on paper, the only test that makes me a little nervous for him is the run, and that's just based on my frequency of like watching the 10K ruck at West Coast Classic a few years ago. Like he just didn't excel there, but that doesn't mean he can't run. That just maybe he's not as good at weighted running.
How fast do you think that workout's going to be with 185 barbell for 10 clean and jerks?
I mean, I think you're getting that barbell done in under a minute, and then whatever running pace you can hold. I think everyone's just going to be
the same
moving it kind of the same rate of travel for the singles on the barbell. Like very few people are going to go faster or slower, and if you do, it's just going to affect the run.
Yeah. For people who don't know, it's 5 rounds, 800-meter run, 10 clean and jerks at 125 for the females, 185 for the males. We should do it as a class workout. You know how gyms do class workouts? Just kill everyone. That would be great.
Yeah. And
just kidding. We're not going to do
that. Back to like the point about Jake's running, like that's not to say he's not a good runner. I think he runs like a sub 6 minute air run a mile, but I think it's just a game of endurance, right? Like 2.5 miles with some weightlifting in the middle is a little bit different.
Yeah, almost double Grace at 185, 125.
Whoa,
spicy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's an Italian meatball. All right, cool.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Taylor or Kill Taylor? It's on Taylor versus World. This is a new series.
Same. I like it, dude. I think it's cool. I think you get a lot of data. So that's even like I posted this morning, Training Think Tanks. I like reposted their post. I watched their thing. It was 5 days ago. They posted Mercer and I watched it of their training session for semifinals, part 1. I really like those things as a coach. I think as an athlete, people should be watching that because dude, I take down split times. We like reference like how long this took somebody. For male athletes who want to play in the sport and you're like trying to be either bubble or you're at the end of the road of the spectrum, you need to be watching the Kill Taylor because there are guys calling in who are fit, putting down some scores and times, and you can collect data and metrics. Not saying you have to do that workout, but like you now know that most guys can do 30 clean and jerks at a 53-pound kettlebell, hang clean and jerks unbroken. You also now know 10 rope climbs takes you less than a minute. And you can so you're starting to learn these things. Yeah, the rope
one every 8 seconds.
Come on, man, don't cut hairs here. It's because Harley can do 10 in a minute, so he wants to make sure everybody knows. And then you should have did Taylor stuff. The clean and jerks would have probably got you, but
no, I would have been the exact same as that guy who called in Brandon.
Yeah, when he had to break. Yeah,
that broke down at like 23. That would have been me. I was like, oh, there I am. Like. He crushed the rope climbs and then just exploded.
Yeah, and then this week's one with the row, burpee get overs and the bar muscle ups, like you can see that there are guys out there who are trying to do 21 bar muscle ups unbroken. There's also people that give you hope. You look at it and it's like, oh, they're going 7, 7, 7. But just general capacities and then watching them move, you can learn so much and get so much information for you as an athlete. So you can take it into your training and approach things a little bit differently. Also, have a little bit of like grace on yourself too. Cause I think sometimes people are really hard on themselves and be like, oh, this person's going to go unbroken or this, that, the other. But now you get to see what a like quote unquote training session at intensity looks like to allow you just some perspective. But yeah, if you're a male athlete out there, like I wonder who the female, well, they did have Jamie. She came on the show and did the workout, but like what female athlete's going to do what Taylor's doing. I think that's really cool. Get more info.
I think it's really exciting and it spices up the space. I think they've done a great job this year, Siobhan and that whole group of like creating, I don't want to call them sideshows, but like engagement opportunity for competition and visibility throughout the off season.
Yeah, it's like the pre-fight show,
Exactly. Yeah. Like that's been really fun to watch. And then I'm personally disappointed with my own schedule because last week that rope climb one, I saw it. I was like, this would have been a good one. I had a couple client calls that morning.
It was only at $500. You don't want to win that one.
And then this week I coached on Saturday morning, both classes. So I was like, well, there goes that opportunity. And then
I think you can film it though. I think you can film it and send them a link though. Oh, you can't?
It has to be live on the show. Oh. And that's why they talked about why it's going to be so hard for people to be it. It's because week 1, they had a hard time even getting people to call in and try. Yeah. And then week 2, they had apparently like Savon claimed 100 people like texting in. And so he was just sending out random links. So because they're trying to keep it within like an hour time constraint, there's a limited amount of people who even get the opportunity to do it. So they asked at the end of last week's call, essentially like, how long do you think he's going to go undefeated? And essentially they were saying possibly a really long time because maybe some really good people aren't even going to be able to get in through the calling system.
Yeah, or they're not going to want to do it like Taylor said. Taylor's like, the game's out this big. I have training. It's like what he said. Right. which is true.
It is true.
Also, I mean, don't sleep on Will Carter, man. And he didn't do it. Will Carter is a phenomenal athlete and did not beat Taylor Self in that workout.
Even Joey. Like they're both those dudes are. I know, but they're both.
Man, our friends talk shit about Joey. Joey, you suck, dog. You were the worst human. Just kidding. I like you, Joey.
Top 20, whatever, like 25th in the East or whatever. Like whatever he was, like still fucking good. There's nothing. They're no slouches, you know.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is,
but they're built like garden gnomes. To their point. That was a hard fucking climb for them to get over that box.
Yeah, it was. Hey, they did it though. They're close. He was close. Will was close. He's a good athlete. But yeah, games team level athlete, individual, regional level athlete, and didn't get it. So like, again, to my same point, if you out there and you're a male athlete and you want to get good at the sport, you better be taking notes, talking to your coach, writing these things down, and trying to move that fast. All right.
I think I want people to get on it. I want more people to get on Kill Taylor because I think it's gonna be fucking fun. Like last week, we watched it after the fact, didn't watch it live, but like one of the highlighted comments, like he just threw up CJ's, was like Hans at One Society CrossFit, I think his gym's name is, but it's a guy in California I know, super fucking fit. I think he was like 50th in the West this year, and he didn't get to go on and do it. And like, I don't know if he would have beat him in that workout or anything, but like, again, there are guys like trying to line up to do that now, and I think it's going to just the hype around it's going to grow each week. So I think it's going to be really exciting, to Todd's point, to see those level athletes like put themselves out there and really just see what is possible. You know,
I think they'll get better at screening the athletes too. Because like JR,
I think they need to. I think they really need to.
I think they have. I think they're getting a little bit better. And it's only second week, so we'll see. It's cool to watch though. Yeah. All right. Off-season stuff. We'll do that next week. Off-season stuff we'll do next week because we still got semifinals for the Masters age groups. And then we got semifinals for Mr. Harley and company. So we'll do an off-season podcast here.
Off-season, 5K run every day. Got to get better at that.
If you're in the off-season right now, just focus on your movement quality. Take the opportunity to change some stuff. Don't be stuck in the mud or your own bias of like, I've always done it this way. Don't come up with some excuse of like, now is the time to try things. You want to try new grips. You want to try new shoes. You want to try new jump rope. You want to get new knee sleeves. Try it all out now and figure out what you like and just get locked in with that stuff. I just got some rad shoes I'm going to try out here. Whew. They might suck. They might be great. We'll see. But this is now the time to do that. New movement selection with your coaches and stuff, and change your mechanics. Like you're going to feel weaker. It's not going to be your favorite position. Start using different pull-up bars in the gym. I know that's a big one for people. Become a Swiss Army knife of fitness. Harley likes that one. Look at him. He hated it. But just
I was laughing at the pull-up bar more than anything.
Oh, okay.
Like, that matters. It matters.
It matters to people mentally, right? So if you can become have better agility in everything that you're doing, like not using the same box all the time, not having to use the same pull-up bar, everything doesn't have to be so perfect, that like you're just kind of micro dosing yourself with a little bit of adversity, a little bit of uncomfortableness, that when the game time comes, the big show comes, or you got to go in in-person competition, you're not that person that's like, the bar's not sticky enough for me, and my grips don't, my shoelace came untied, like, the sun's in my eyes, I'm in a different lane. People keep walking in front of my barbell. Like, if you can get used to that stuff now in the off season and stop becoming a complainer.
That's the worst.
I know.
The people walking in front of you while you're trying to hit a heavy lift, dude.
Listen. CrossFit is not weightlifting. If we were in a weightlifting gym, I'd be on board with it. It's CrossFit. People going to walk in front of you. They're going to scream at you. There's going to be loud music playing. It's a very different environment. You got to get used to it. Now,
I love that so here's me being a little diva. I put myself in this corner. Like this specific corner I'm sitting in now, I'm using a jerk block as my stand-up desk. I'm like, use these jerk blocks, and someone like walks right in front of me, 2 feet in front of me, as I'm hitting like a 95% split jerk to go use the crossover symmetries. I'm like,
hey man, there might be a judge right up in your face trying to, oh, you got one more, we'll do one more. And like, I get it though. I definitely think like now's the opportunity. Put yourself in those positions when you're doing qualifiers throughout the off season, or you're at the time to do whatever. Yeah, use your favorite stuff. I get it, but you got to get used to it. It makes you a better athlete. Just generally athleticism, you're going to be able to adapt to things, and that stress will decrease a lot in yourself and in your training. So off season, play with stuff, have a good time. Harley's not wrong. Build an aerobic base. If you already have an aerobic base, obviously you're going to be working on strength, because if you like Paige, the giraffe queen, you're going to have to work on some strength. She's getting real strong. I like it. All right, let's see what CJ has to say. I'm about to do all of our indoor worm practice session with my sunnies and bucket hat on for the next 3 weeks. Yeah. You should. That bucket hat might get ripped off your dome from that worm. Just make sure that strap is real tight.
I'm definitely not wearing a bucket hat for the worm workouts. I'll put the bucket hat next to the worm, and when we go back to run, like whatever, like I'm
just make sure her like Nalgene bottle that she has, she just opens it up and just like sprays all.
Sorry, what?
Her Nalgene water bottle.
Who are you talking about?
CJ.
I don't know what's going on.
Does she still have that Nalgene water bottle? We were talking about training outside for the next 3 weeks and wearing her buckets.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
She said training inside. She says she's wearing her bucket hat inside.
That's what I mean. So just dust, like you're really hot outside, just throw the water on.
Practice
inside.
that. Yeah.
In the gym.
Inside. Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh, dang. She lost it in the airport.
That's all I was saying.
CJ says. Better be the first one back to the worm then.
I'm saying on my way back out to run. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let's
all right.
Shit off. Tie around my neck.
Oh, geez.
Use the
all right. Well, this one I wanted to actually talk about programming, which leads in off season, and like specialty classes inside of a CrossFit affiliate, which we're all pretty familiar with.
Specialty classes. Will you define that?
Yeah. So CrossFit gyms do CrossFit classes. You come in, you take your CrossFit class, you got your warm up, you got your specific warm up, and then either your strength or skill or no strength and skill. And then you guys talk about how intense the workout's going to be for 20 minutes before you do a 5-minute workout. And then you do the workout. That is the CrossFit class, right? As we know, specialty classes, I would classify as like a weightlifting class, CrossFit kids, teen, sports specific class. So you have a 65-plus-year-old class, a gymnastics class, something that is not in just like the general physical preparedness that's touching on GMW. I wanted to know, what is the value of these classes from your guys' opinion, and should CrossFit gyms do them? And as a coach who can write program design for these things and also coach these things, like where do you see it landing? Just for my own interest. This was a selfish topic today. Anyone? You guys like specialty class? This was a quick conversation. Specialty classes are great. All right, move on.
I think they're valuable. I think that they give time to each, whether it's gymnastics or weightlifting, or even if it's like an endurance class, that you don't typically get with a general class. You get time on in each of those pieces. So I like them. Members seem to always like them too, because it's different than just a normal class. And the people that want to work on that stuff in the 1 hour class and can't now have time to be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is good. At our gyms in California, we did bring back Gymnastics Thursdays from CJ. We actually, it's not Thursdays. We do it randomly throughout the week to secretly force people to make that class, because we do have a lot of 3-time-a-week people, and then we have unlimited people. But I will rotate the day on which we do it. And like today, we did strict ring dips. We did 50 pull-ups for time, and then we did some handstand and pull-up accessory work. That was the whole class. And we dropping the intensity down, working on the skills, working on positions. I'm going around really helping people. And we're doing that inside of our normal CrossFit class. And this is where I have the hard time with specialty courses, and my bias of like, I don't think we should have specialty classes realistically. I think if you do a good job with program design, coaching in your affiliate, you just need the one CrossFit class. And I understand the draw, like Tyler's saying, of like some people want to get more enduring. Having an endurance class is helpful, but I think you could put that into your weekly program design identifying that the majority of your people need more endurance, or the majority of your people need gymnastics, and skewing the program design to that directive to help people fill one of those characteristics of GMW or the 10 general physical skills, which is what our prime directive as CrossFit coaches is to do, is to increase the 10 general physical skills and get you very good at mixed modal GMW in all combinations across broad times and modal domains. So with that being said, like, I think there is no service to specialty classes unless you're driving, like, the specialty class is driving you back into the CrossFit class, is my argument. And so, like, an endurance class, you could do it, but it would be all in the hopes of that people come to more CrossFit classes because their endurance improves, to Tyler's point. It is helpful for that. Or like CJ telling us to bring back the gymnastics class, which we do. We just don't call it that anymore because I just secretly hide it. But those of you guys watching, go to our gym now know that it's Gymnastics Thursdays on every day of the week. Not every day of the week, but as far as like the teens class, I understand that one a little bit, or like youth development, they're going to do some specific things, but ultimately once those kids turn, 14, 15, 16 years old, they should be segueing into the adult class and doing CrossFit for general physical preparedness, unless they have some specific goal that they're working on. And conversely, at the top end, we have right now one of our people who's becoming a coach, and she's wanting to do the 65 plus age group. And maybe Harley can speak to this too, with like your mom, and Marissa's not on the call, but her mom's, in the older population doing CrossFit one-on-one or in classes. But, I'm telling our coach right now, it's like, hey, like, this class is kind of just like to get their feet wet. And ultimately we want to get them in the CrossFit class. There's no reason why they should be outside. But I do know that there is a good pairing of like, okay, all of these people are 65 plus years old. They look and feel like me, and it makes me feel a little more comfortable, which is great. But ultimately they don't need anything different than you or I. It's just like they always say, it's degree, not kind. So I don't know. It's hard for me. I see the value, but I mean, Harley, you got your mom in there working hard. What do you think? Like, you think?
So I'll just sort of circle back. Specialty classes, I'm more in Todd's boat. I think that unless you have someone who, like a coach or multiple coaches who are incredibly passionate about a certain aspect of, and the components of CrossFit, a specific component of CrossFit, usually what happens is that someone will have an idea. One person will be excited. They'll be like, hey, we should do this gymnastics class or this weightlifting class. And then they realize they just corner hold themselves into being the only person who gets to go to that class every week or multiple days a week for a long time. And it can lead to a lot of burnout from that coach specifically. And if you then rotate in someone who's maybe less passionate about that aspect of fitness, maybe they're not delivering the same message, the same quality of attention, or the same service. So not saying that is an excuse not to do it, but I think it's just a reality of like human nature. We're not all interested in the same things. Ideally, as a coach, we still do our best to provide a good service. But if the programming in an affiliate is balanced, then ideally we can accommodate those developmental sort of aspects within a normal hour-long class, normal CrossFit class. The issue that I see the most is that people overprogram the hour. And so there's not enough time to coach within the hour class. It turns into more of like facilitating, just rolling people through the door, getting them warmed up, getting them moving, getting them out the door again, for checking the box of, are they going to be safe to do this workout for the day? That doesn't mean they got better at any one thing. So I think that within that aspect of trying to touch on the higher skills, the more complex aspects of CrossFit within a normal class, you have to allot time within that hour for true developmental work, or write in progressions in a very thoughtful way to where you can build people up over time. So if you do that well, allot time, build in quality progressions, and put the development pieces in an appropriate setting, in an appropriate format, I think that people of all walks of life, kids, elderly, age groups, people with some form of limitation, maybe it be, excess body weight or a past injury, ideally we can address each person where they're at and give them an option that will progress them towards the direction we want to go. All that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes down to what each coach is providing within their hour, because each coach is responsible for their own respective hour. But from the top down, an affiliate, the person who's programming really has the control of opportunity for, you know, the coaching and for the modifications and for the progressions.
Yeah.
Does that all make sense?
Yep.
Well, I was even going to bring up, like, so talking about our Gymnastics Thursdays, but just even the gym that we used to be at in California, when Todd started that gym, he had started it with a guy who is really big he's Olympic weightlifting coach. So they had this CrossFit program, they had the Olympic weightlifting program, and they would run basically 2 different classes, right? And I know, like, after Todd had sold his half and they left, like, they still continued that on. So they had weightlifting classes, they had CrossFit classes. And I think, to like both of your guys' point, is like, he's very passionate about weightlifting, so he coaches that, and it's great, right? And you have like this like specialty class. But I see it like kind of going both ways. It's like there's a lot of people that came in CrossFit that it almost was like they're doing a separate program, right? So they're doing CrossFit, and then they're like, I want to get stronger, I want to get better at weightlifting, so I'm going to also do this weightlifting program that's 2 or 3 times a week. I definitely saw them, they would get better, they would come into CrossFit, and they would kind of go back and forth. And so it definitely bled into them having, like, they got more of that specialty time that we're talking about, like, in the CrossFit classes. But it doesn't really work for people necessarily that are just like, I'm coming for like 1 hour a day, right? So like, this is going to be like, and I know we talk about this a lot, where like in our affiliate now, it's like, I've just gotten 3 or 4 clients that are like, I just need strength, right? So now I'm writing additional programming and strength programming for them. That's like addition to their 1 hour of CrossFit that they're doing. And in a sense, it's kind of like really similar. Like, you know, we're just running it differently. I think out here, we're not like having like a specialty class, and it's also an opportunity for us to like give more specific and one-on-one programming to people. So I feel like it works.
Well, you're able to blend the two realistically. So like,
right.
To Harley's main point, is the program designer or the owner of the gym is taking the two. Where we probably failed, and if they're still doing that in California, was not looking at both programs and going like this with them, understanding that, you know, you'd have to draw a line in the sand, because there are actually pure weightlifting gyms in California, and powerlifting gyms too, and strongman gyms. And there are some here in New York, not as much as it was in California. And I'm sure Colorado has some of those things too, because like more metropolitan areas have more specialty things, because there's more people who are interested in that stuff. But like, we could have blended it together more effectively to build out the athletes better, where it would pair with their Metcon, or their conditioning or their endurance work much, much better. They did get a benefit, but I see where that's the pitfall of like, the specialty class is not pairing with your general physical training every day. And that's why we do now the hybrid model and the one-on-one coaching, is because the hybrid coaches are able to take our class and then layer in, you know, either the single skill or just the weightlifting or just the endurance, to allow the breadth and depth of the program design to really shine and get some bigger characteristics that are more specialty without having a full class like that, or some seminar. So, and that's also too, like, we think about coaching and professional coaching, people are paying their membership, you know, at a CrossFit gym that's around I guess the average is what, 160 around the world, basically in US. It is varying degrees depending on where you're at. Like in some places in Colorado, I'm sure it's like $200+ a month. Some places in California is up to like 300 if you're like in San Francisco. So with that money that you're getting paid, you should be making these programs and not having like specialty courses or extra classes or, whatever else outside of your class itself. I think it's your job with those dollars and coaching staff to build out those programs effectively, like Harley's saying, from the top down. Now, if there's something,
I have a question about your guys' system.
Yeah.
So you guys just alluded to, you're doing, some hybrid opportunities for your members, where they're getting one-on-one programming on top of the class programming. How far out are you writing the class workouts, and how much time and or interaction do you have in planning for their individualized progressions?
So the class program, we pick limitation or something that people want to work on. So right now it's just the squatting, and we're doing band assisted squats in our class, and then Murph prep. Everything else is CrossFit to hit the 10 general physical skills. So other than that, those things are progressed and planned out. Everything else is kind of what we do last week, what movements do we need to get exposure on? Oh, excuse me. Then gymnastics is also handstand push-up work. So pressing and pulling, balance, and then handstand push-up skills, because the members asked to get better handstand push-ups due to the quarterfinals workout that they really struggled with. We also have a lot of people doing Adirondack challenge. So there is still a lot of like extra credit CrossFit in there where they can do a supplemental Metcon for the day because they need to keep that conditioning up, the sports specific aspect of it. So that is like the structure, and we build that out, and that's going to go, until Adirondack's done. So through May, and Murph is done, and through the 6 weeks of the squat progression that will then maybe recycle back to, or we're going to try some other things depending on how it works out. So yeah, about 6 to 8 weeks. And then for the one-on-one stuff, the coach is primarily in charge of going at, because I try to get that all done for them the week ahead so they can see next week's before Thursday. And then they go in and they look at what their person is doing. What the hybrid person is doing is they're choosing 1 to 2 things that they need to work on. And then the coach actually balances the programming from the class and everything else around that. So let's say your limitation is endurance, you're going to do that before metabolic conditioning. So if the athlete has the time and they can come in before class, they'll do, let's say, their endurance training, and then they'll take class. If it's, a gymnastics thing, you can pretty much do that anytime as long as you've cooled down enough, if it's skill work or volume accumulation, and they'll put that in. We have a lot of athletes doing a lot of strength right now. Heather works with a lot of them doing the hybrid model. They'll come in and do their strength piece, fast lifting, so snatch, clean and jerk, things of that nature. And then they jump into class and they do like the band assisted squats, and then they'll do the Metcon, and then they'll do their accessory that's built out by the coach.
Yeah. Or I'll just change, like if they're doing, cleaning or whatever, like maybe they're still doing cleaning, but they're doing their progressive cleaning that I've been like writing for them. So they might still be jumping in and being able to do their work with class, but they're doing their own progression. Or sometimes like they're doing like clean pulls, back squat, whatever. Maybe they're, like Todd said, they're just back squatting. So they're going to come in early and they're going to do their clean and their clean pulls and whatever. And then they'll hop into class.
Yeah. So they'll just bypass the warm up because they're already warm from everything else and jump in with everyone squatting, for that example.
So essentially, you guys answered my question eventually, which was you get it to the coach by Thursday. So they have the weekend to plan and then a few days to maybe talk about if the client has a question about what's going on. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing I personally struggling with is that I have no hand or say in what's programmed at the gym, but I have only 2, 3 remote visualized like hybrid style clients, and Chase writes you out on Sundays, and sometimes it's Sunday morning, sometimes it's Sunday afternoon, and it's just sort of like creates a bottleneck in the system. I think that having clear direction probably helps you guys be really successful with that, delivering a I'm not gonna say more consistent product, but a more easy process. I think that lends to the communication side of it.
It could be better. One of my downfalls is like if things get busy, like this week it's going to get busy. Like tomorrow, I'm going to try to write all the class programming so it's done before the semifinal events for the masters and age groups, and the teens and masters. But then also too, like I would like to watch what happens in class because I'm very involved in the gym, as you guys know. So I like to see what's going on. And it's like, okay, well, that was too much volume, or this was too little, or like they need more of this, or oh man, we did toes to bar, but like people still need a lot of practice. So then I'll integrate that into the next week because I think it's really important to have some, I guess, like touch point as a coach to be like, that didn't work very well. We need to try that again. Or like, wow, that was a really great stimulus of high intensity interval lactic threshold training. So now let's see how we can build that out next week, and see how that goes. And then like build a progression based off of like what I see is happening to the people. Or if it's like, oh man, the people didn't do those wall balls, I'm broken. Like we had a workout with running, dumbbell lunges, running, dumbbell front squats, running, dumbbell thrusters yesterday. And like I was watching to see how many people chose to do the 40 lunges, the 30 front squats, and the 10 or the 20 thrusters unbroken with the dumbbells, with the running speed. The running really beat people up. We're in the Northeast. We haven't been running very much. I understand why. We've been running a lot more now because of the good weather, everything else. So I want to see I want to take that workout, and I've moved it down in our calendar all the way into September. If you're watching this and you go to our gym, you now know we're going to do that workout again, to see if the running will increase their speed. And then also I'm taking a note of like, well, how do we do 40, 30, 20, which is a classic CrossFit rep scheme, and give them a moderate to more muscle endurance load and go unbroken. Because ultimately that's going to build someone's fitness, right? Because they're going to get better at running, aerobic capacity improve, muscle endurance is going to improve, and their ability to withstand that fatigue state is going to improve, which ultimately improves their fitness. So like, I like to look at things like that from day to day, and it helps me as a coach and a one-on-one coach program designer. Like, I also think if you're a one-on-one coach, you should be coaching in person in class. I know it takes away your time to do one-on-one coaching or get feedback or work remotely, but like being in there, watching human beings do this stuff and taking notes of what they're doing is hugely valuable for your growth and development as a coach. And I use it almost as a laboratory, because I know that I'm not going to do anything wrong with these people because I already have a good base of principles. But I like to see like, let's try this. What happens if we do band assisted squats with 130 people? You know, what are the adaptations that this cohort of people are going to get from doing that? Because we know what they are with a couple one-on-one athletes and people who are more developed in squatting. But like, what happens when you take, you know, mom, dad, whatever, full-time professional, and put a band on them? Like, how much weight could they really squat? Like, where is that human limitation?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Just throwing it out there to your guys' members, that band assisted squatting stuff works so well.
I think they figured it out.
I think
after
they're like,
they're learning,
hyped about it. Like they're doing their 1RM for 5 and they're just like hyped.
Yeah. So I did that for a while leading into the season, and then I right before quarters I did like a heavy front squat session, but I had already been done with the banded stuff because the season was here, and I just back squatted 435 for 3, which my all-time best is 455 for 1. So that's like what, 95% for a triple. Like,
I mean, the science is sound, right? It's going to increase your force velocity, and that's ultimately what you're trying to do. And that's not even a CrossFit thing. That's like NSCA, CSCS training.
Yeah, for sure.
From strength and conditioning. So like, it's not like it's new. I think it's just really novel to a lot of CrossFitters who don't have
Agreed. And that novelty is so critical, especially for people who've been doing CrossFit for so long, because a back squat's a back squat, and you can do them heavy, low volume, you can do them high volume, lightweight, and manipulate variables, rest periods, whatever, to create novel stimulus. But there's nothing like putting 105% of your best on your back, walking it out, and then doing it for multiple reps. There's no other way to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's crazy. So I think it's definitely like not groundbreaking because it's not new, but I think it's groundbreaking here, right, in this context. So I'm excited to see what a year of this stuff and trying to get more people to do it. I also want to pick your brain about the weight releasers.
Dude, I want to get. We made a rogue order, and I was like going to get a bunch of them, and I was like, oh, don't do it yet. It's just wait. They're so cool. They're loud as shit, but they are so cool. Look at Mercy. See, fire. Weight releasers are fire.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is like, what loading do you put on the weight releaser? Like, what relative percentage? And then after that first rep, how many reps do you do after? I think it's probably only like a few because you want great.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I haven't played with that as much as cluster sets, so I have the athletes reset. But I've only been using the weight releasers, which are 18 pounds each, and then I have the females put 10s on. So then you're about 25 pounds. So you release 50 pounds off of the bar. So yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm trying. I'm going to stick with that and not create any more variables and just leave like 50-pound release, because at least that way you're eccentrically loading 50 pounds plus on top of whatever it is and then standing back up.
Yeah, I just find that interesting that you're just going with an arbitrary loading, right? Like 50 pounds doesn't necessarily mean anything because it can be very different for someone who's squatting 500 versus someone squatting 200.
Well, it's still the 10% then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of like, well, it's 10% or it's 20%.
Right.
So, which is very different. So like, that's sort of what I'm getting at. It's like, I wonder if it would be more specific to the individual if you always just did like a 10%. And I haven't looked into programs about it. I'm sure we can find really good resources online to sort of filter through those things. But yeah, so you have them do 1 rep, reset, 1 rep, reset.
Yep.
So I've seen
the rest is as long as you can get the release arms back on.
Basically the time it takes to put them back. Yeah, so like I've just seen like through video, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, of people like implementing it, not actually analyzing the program design, but of them doing like 1 slow eccentric. As soon as that weight comes off, you hear the bang, you fire out of the bottom, and then they do 2 more like really fast reps.
Yeah,
so
I
like,
can do that too.
You could probably do that for cluster sets. So like cluster sets of 3, but with the weight release around rep 1.
Yeah,
that'd be really interesting. Just to get more volume.
Yeah. I mean, my thought process for the athletes I have doing it was overloading the eccentric. That's all. So more like a Cal Dietz triphasic training method, and just overload the eccentric instead of using tempo. And we won't go.
Well, I meant try to do tempo with the overloaded eccentric.
Yeah.
With the releaser on, like control that thing down until you hear it bang on the floor.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to just do a bunch of collection stuff, because even like Louis Simmons doesn't have a whole lot on release arms. It's either the Bulgarians or the Russians use a lot of release arm stuff. We'd have to look at it and see what their numbers were and what their data is like, and then run some athletes through and collect. Because right now I only have Paige doing it. I'm gonna actually have Marissa do it, my wife, and see what type of gains we can get. Because she's just coming back to squatting, so we're just trying to get her neuromuscular stuff firing again from being pregnant, and then getting her squat up to 200, and then from there I'm gonna really see where we're at. Again,
I know we're going to dive into off season next time more extensively, but would you think of this as we're coming out off season? Like we've talked about in previous episodes and previous conversations, like unilateral work, create balance in the system, and then volume accumulation, like a hatch to create hypertrophy, and then get into, force production, traditional strength work. Would you then be transitioning from hypertrophy to weight releasers, or hypertrophy to banded? What would you go first?
For the athletes that I have, because they're so trained, I would skip hypertrophy altogether, honestly, because they are already. Now, if you have a newer athlete or someone new to a lot of squatting, like a GPP member who wants to be more competitive in CrossFit, then yes, you would do hypertrophy. But like someone like Marissa who's coming back, I just need her neurologically to remember how to squat. And then you're going to get a lot of hypertrophy from like the conditioning and the training. And I would say that's true for like even yourself, or any of the athletes that have been training for a long time. You're already maxed out on hypertrophy based on the science. So really it's just more of like a motor control. And then from there, do whatever you want. So like someone like Paige, after she takes her time off from semifinals, we're going to go back into, a lot more of neurological velocity based, explosive power stuff, get her to jump better with her hips and her knees. And like, we've already evaluated her jerk. So like, because I have this context, I'm skipping a lot of that classic stuff that you should do. So any athlete listening to this, if you haven't done, what Harley's talking about and gone through those phases, you need to go through those phases. But someone who's been through those phases for off season, I jump right to what is their limitation, and we're going to go explore and work on that. So like, the answer is yes and no, evaluating the person and where they're at. And so I will skip, unless someone likes, slower base, more joint healthy, specific, like hypertrophy training where they're not really killing themselves too much. I mean, you could kill yourself on hypertrophy training, let's be real, but I want to get into, we don't have a lot of time, especially if they're going to do the season again, right? So like you really only have, where we can talk about this in the off season stuff, but like I would say 3 to 4 months to really make a dent in someone's limitation. And then you're getting into like more energy system work, more sport specific work, especially with the way that the sport is now looks like it's going to lean towards. Like you have 3 to 4 months to get strong, and you can push that out a little bit. But then the problem is your CP battery is probably low because you're doing a bunch of strength the whole time. So you need exposure to that. And that depends on how long that person adapts. If they're not good at barbell cycling under heavy loads, like you might need to start that sooner. So the process starts depending on the person, but you don't have a lot of time. That's where I'm like, and I think people think they have I have a whole year. It's like, literally I could sit down and write someone's year out and be like, holy shit, we don't have any months to do anything. Like, how are we getting good? We should take 3 years off and then come back to training.
Like the Olympics.
Yeah, I'm I've said this joke before, but I'll say it again. I'm training for 35, 39. Just kidding. For everyone who knows, I'm 29 years old.
Yeah, good. No, yeah.
I'm ordering weight releasers now based on this conversation. CJ and I are going to overload the fuck out of our Ecentrics, and it's going to be wild.
It's good for tendon and ligament health too. So there's that. Physical therapists would agree. Blog programs. We kind of already, I think, segued a little bit, but before we go there, Renata, she's one of our members. She split the lunges and the squats in half. So there it is. She now knows she's got the secret. She's gonna try going broken next time. Blog programs, more specifically things like, CompTrain, HWPO flagship program, training think tanks. Does they call it design or the way they compete? I guess they call it compete now. What else? A class program is a blog program. What do you guys think? I mean, I think we explained it pretty well of why, like, specialty classes and blog programs or CrossFit class, we all know that they're built for a wide net of people, right? And unless you have somebody narrowly specifically building it in for a unique set of skills or something that you need to develop, do you guys think that for an athlete who wants to compete in the space and has been training for a while, it's a waste of their time?
I think you are guiding that answer, but yes. I mean, of course, I think after all the things that we talked about, right? I think it's like, if you're trying to get better in the sport, it's going to be more advantageous and quicker to your goal when you have more sport specific and more specific programming to your limitations and needs.
What about outside the sport? Let's take a step further. If I wanted to run a half marathon or marathon, does that require specific training for me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter I think if you're trying to achieve a specific goal,
well,
specific programming is for you is always going to be better, right?
Even if I'm not trying to get a specific time, let's just say run the half marathon continually. I think that takes a one-on-one approach. I also think, like, if you're like, hey, I can only do 4 toe to bar and I want to do 10 toe to bar, I also think that takes a one-on-one approach that I don't care how good of a class coach you are. I don't think you're going to help people unless, like, magically they have something wrong, in their kip swing or whatever. But, like, you're not going to get someone's capacity built from 4 toe to bar to 12 toe to bar in a CrossFit class.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
unless you spent years in the CrossFit class. I just took
on a new athlete who's literally trying to do that in class, and she's been doing CrossFit. I don't even know, probably, I mean, at least a year she's been doing CrossFit.
More than that.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
She's been doing, she can do 4. I had her do a max set last week, 6. And she's like frustrated because she can't do more than that. And she's been doing CrossFit for how long? So to answer that in that specific example, yes.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. And I don't think there's anything wrong with blog programs or a class program, obviously, right? Because it's like time constraint, money, energy, and desire are all the things that go into that and why you would do a class. Like, if you only have the hour, you're going to come to a CrossFit class. That should be anybody who wants to get fitter in their life. And I know I have a bias about CrossFit, but and anyone who knows me, though, I don't talk negatively about Orange Theory or F45 or walking or anything. Everything has its place. But we do know that a CrossFit style program, it doesn't even have to be a CrossFit gym, but a CrossFit style program is going to get you fitter than any of these other programs that are out there, primarily because you're going to squat out of the rack and pull heavy from the floor. Like that's why that's going to beat an F45 class. Like, you're going to huge capacity and get a lot of metabolic conditioning in an F45 or like an Orange Theory, but your muscular and skeletal strength is not going to be as comparable as to someone who does CrossFit. And then your upper body strength too.
Well, and I think that kind of ties back a little bit to like your specialty programs and what we were talking about earlier. I think a lot of times people don't want to come into CrossFit classes or whatever because they're scared of squatting, lifting heavy from the floor, it's just stuff they've never done before. But those are literally the things that they need to be doing.
I like this one. Marissa's saying people who are intentional in class are the ones who get the best results. And I'm talking about detail. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, people come in and like, let's say they're snatched today. It's like, they know they're really evaluating it. Maybe they're watching videos at home. They're talking to a coach. They're asking for assistance. They're like, hey, I saw this online and I want Shree and Dustin. They watch a lot of CrossFit. They have gotten huge results because they come in, they work hard, they're intentional, they ask a ton of questions from us, and they're building out this robust knowledge and ability that is going beyond the blog program. And I would argue, like, because we're in there every day, utilizing your affiliate coach and talking to your affiliate coach is, like what Marissa's saying, is the best thing you can do. Because blog is and CrossFit class are the same thing. Now, the difference is, like, let's say you do HWPO or you do Mayhem or you do whatever, you're not getting that interaction from a coach the way you are when you're in class. So go to a CrossFit gym and take a CrossFit class. That's the first thing. Even if it's a bad blog program that they're running or that they're writing, then engage with the coach itself, because now you're going to get that one-on-one exposure. And we care enough. Like, we're standing in front of the class every single day here to help you. Like, even if it's a novice coach, like, they're taking that route to say, hey, I want to help you become better at this thing. So that's enough intentionality, like Marissa's saying. And then hopefully you can fill out the details over time, either together or that coach takes upon themselves to learn and grow and become an expert coach in these things to make you the best that you can be. Whereas, like, blog, you're not getting any of that. And it's wild because you're going to go to a gym quietly by yourself or at your garage gym and do things. Like, you're going to move. You may not move the best. Some people will, but you may not move the best. You may not get the full intention. You might be doing a ton of things and incorrectly, or just not understanding what you're trying to get done.
They're also not going to get the direction of, hey, we did this 40, 30, 20, and I want you to go unbroken. Like, they might just like pick the 50 or 60 pound weights, and then they're doing sets of 5 through the whole thing. And they're not really getting probably the most out of it. I mean, they're going to get something out of it, but
I mean, they'll get, and even if they get the notes, let's say you're like Renata, like about, splitting the lunges in half and the squats in half. Like, okay, cool. Us looking at that in that workout, if she's doing a blog program and it tells you to try and go unbroken, well, they don't know. There's no feedback to where she's at. Like, now I know where she's at. I know that she's split in half. So next time we do it, it's like, hey, your challenge, because you split in half, let's try to go 3/4, all the way through, or let's go all the way through and see what happens. But they're not going to get that specific detail within their own blog program. They'll get like a note that says go unbroken.
Yeah.
But how helpful is that versus like a one-on-one program or a coach that's doing a really good job and doing a hybrid and changing the rep scheme that is achievable?
It's also no different than telling someone who can only do 6 toes to bar to do 10 toes to bar unbroken.
Yeah. Right? Or just in the class, like let's say you have a workout or a blog workout that's 3 rounds, 10 toe to bar, 10 burpee box jump overs, and 200 meters of running. Well, the expectation is like they're going to just try to get through that workout however they can, and they'll do the toes to bar in 2.
Yeah.
No one will even notice, and they'll continue to do 2 over time and not build the muscle endurance and coordination and skill to do the 10 unbroken.
Right.
And most of the time, coaches aren't going to slow people down to say, hey, do these unbroken. Like, we will. I mean, I have no problem doing that. If you're a coach listening to this, stop them. Or let them go and then have a conversation about like, hey, look, do you want to get better at these toe to bar? Like, is that something that you want to take the route on? And let's build a progression so you can build the muscle endurance, the density of these toe to bars, so you can do 3 rounds unbroken of 10, 10, 10, 10, and just like build that out. But these blog programs aren't going to do that for you.
Yeah.
It's just tough. I don't think there's anything wrong with blog programs though, by the way. Like, do them, but like still think beyond them and like get a little more invested, especially if you have huge aspirations too. Like, man, the amount of people I watch who want to go to compete outside, like in big local comps or like Crash, Harley's wearing the shirt. Like, I don't know how many people are actually, unless you are a genetic freak, are going to get that opportunity to compete like that without a one-on-one coach. Like, you're just not going to fill the holes and the gaps in your fitness to hang at that level.
And events are just hard to get into. Like,
well, yeah.
talk about that. Like, let alone like if you get to go there, how are you going to perform on the competition floor? It's like, good luck even getting through the qualifying. Like,
right.
Not just Crash. I'm saying like Wadapalooza. Like, we've seen how chaotic that leaderboard is, how high demand those events have become. Like, just getting through is so hard. Like you have to become so good, and without that progression over time, like how do you? It's hard for people to even see the path they're supposed to be working on, right? Like we're going down. And to the conversation about blogs, it's like so many blogs give different options for different paths to accommodate different archetypes and different characteristic development. But the issue is like without the guidance of third person's perspective, just seeing like, hey, here's where you are, here's where I want to go, let's try to create this roadmap for you. People just see it and they either pick what they want, they only pick what they need to work on with no balance away from their weaknesses. So those are like the polar opposites. Or people see all the options and they're just paralyzed with decision fatigue, and they just have no idea what to even choose because there are too many options. So individualization, having a coach and that person to help sort of create this path for you is definitely where the magic happens.
Yeah, and I just wanted to talk about it because like I was watching a couple programs go, like blog programs, spit out some messaging and stuff, and it's a lot of it's they're trying to just sell you, so you join the program and then you pay the $59 or $30 or whatever, and it's not bad, but at the end of the day, like where you want to go with it and how good you want to get, you're going to be so limited by the fact that you don't have like an orchestra conductor helping you understand, because like all of us, like you don't have to get a one-on-one coach. Like if you wanted, and you're watching this and you wanted me to consult you on something, I would consult you on your program of choice and get you really good with whatever they have to offer, because the X's and O's, because the sport is the way that it is, or competing in CrossFit or getting better at CrossFit, it's all the same stuff. It's just how you're approaching it for you, how you're getting it done, and like the progressions of how you're going to go from 2 toe to bar to 10 toe to bar is going to be very individualized. If you're an easy responder and like doing 3 unbroken for 4 sets week 1, and then you do that no problem, and then week 2 you do 4 unbroken for 4 sets, week 3, and then 5, and then 6, and you're just adapting, well then like keep going. Like you're probably going to be one of the fitter people, and like these people, like I said, who are genetic freaks that just adapt to everything and they can handle a ton of volume, and then they're eventually really good. Most people don't fall under that classification. Most people are not these genetic freaks, and you're either going to get burnt out, get frustrated, or get injured because you're not following the right progression for you. And I think that's the thing I wanted to hit is like, as you're looking to the off season, and obviously we like have one-on-one coaching, so we want to sell you on one-on-one coaching for us. But even if you are going to do a blog, just think of the pitfalls of a blog. Think of the pitfalls of these things. So then that way, or going to a class or going to a CrossFit gym that's selling you competitive training, like, okay, where's that competitive training coming from? What are they teaching you? Who are the coaches there? Like really evaluate those things. So then that way you can reach the goals that you're looking to reach. And that's ultimately like what I want to get across with like these blog programs, because I know there are a lot of people are going to start looking towards them. And I'd rather you do one-on-one coaching, whether it's with us or any other training company. But if time, energy, and resources are a limitation, just ask yourself those questions and really deeply look into it and look into yourself and see if you can be like what Marissa's saying is like, you got to be really bought in. And that means, watching TTT videos and taking notes, watching Kill Taylor, taking notes, understanding all of these things and becoming an expert yourself, or you can just hire an expert and we'll just help you and circumvent the learning curve. Because that also takes time and energy for you to become an expert yourself.
Yeah, I think the learning curve point is pretty much the whole selling point. It's like, how do we shorten that curve? How do we, streamline the process and give you the resources that you need to even just like know what the end goal is? Because without knowing how many toes to bar you need to be able to do in a given period of time, like you're just, shooting in the dark, really, like hoping you find that target. But and better is better, sure. And if it's more than you did last week, great. But it's like, how do you actually know? What if like you actually are pretty good at a given thing, but you think you're not good enough? Then you're just sort of like refining your strength into the strongest strength ever, but you still have this hole over there,
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of reflection if you're doing it on your own. a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah. And if you could do that, great. If not, just kind of ask yourself about those blog programs. And I'd only say it because there's more and more of them now, and they're just going to become more and more. And I just want people to be aware of that there are other options.
Yeah, and to Todd's point, like the X's and the O's, like I'd say that 2159 is 2159. CrossFit is the fitness, right? Like there's so many perfectly fine programs out there. It's more about what's happening, in the dialogue and planning and the direction.
Yeah, and the week-to-week stuff too. Because you're not going to get a blog program that has toe to bar every Tuesday. I mean, there's not a lot of them out there that are going to do that. So, all right. Well, next week, we'll have one next week, right? And then the baby's just losing it. I think there might be a week we won't have one of these. But
can you ask her to keep it down?
I know she's got to keep it down. She's really killing our vibe. We'll do one every Tuesday. And after semifinals, the team semifinals, we will have our off-season discussion. So stay tuned for that one. That'll be in June, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Comment. If you have any questions, comment. We're ready. See you later.
Bye.